All right, today we're going to talk about doing an additional operation with polynomial expressions, and this is going to be division. So we're going to refresh on how to do long division with using numbers first so we can kind of model that behavior using polynomial expressions. So let's dig in and refresh on how to do 125 divided by 6. What we do is we take what we're dividing by and put it on the outside. We make a little house. Make that a little flatter than I wrote it, and put what we're dividing by in here. And let's talk about what these numbers are. This is, of course, what we're dividing by. We call that the dividend. What is going to be on the outside, what's going into that is going to be the divisor. And we're going to find the quotient and remainder. So to get the quotient, we're going to say how many times does 6 go into 1? Well, it doesn't. So then we go to the next number. How many times does 6 go into 12? And it goes 2 times. Then we do 6 times 2, and that's going to be 12. And then we subtract down. Well, 12 minus 12 is 0. Then we take the next digit and we bring that down. And then we look to see what 6 goes into, in this case, 0, 5. 6 goes into 5 0 times. So 6 times 0 is 0. And our remainder is 5 because there's nothing left to bring down. So the way we're going to write our answer is 20 and 5/6. So we put the dividend on the bottom of that mixed fraction, 20 and 5/6. So the quotient is going to be 20, and your remainder is going to be 5. And this is, of course, your answer. So review that process again and try a couple of the numbers and see if you can get it. And then we'll show how to do it with polynomials. Now we have some steps for long division. Let me go over those steps briefly. The first step is to make sure that it's written in descending order. So if we have like the fourth power after the third power, we're going to have to make sure that that's fixed and changed up. Instead of me going through these steps, let me explain to you how to do example 1 and maybe go back and review the steps. So for example 1, we want to look at what's being divided and put that inside the little house. And we're going to look for any gaps and make sure it's in the right order. So we have a third power, a square, an x, and a constant number at the end. There's no missing exponents, and it's in the right order. What's being divided on the outside, we'll go there. Now let's explain how to start this problem. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to look at the first term on the divisor and the dividend. And you're going to see how many times does x go into x cubed. Well, x goes into x cubed x squared times. So what we're going to write is x squared up here. And then we're going to times this by the terms on the divisor. So x squared times x, that's going to be x cubed. X squared times negative 2, that's going to be negative 2x squared. Now we have to subtract downwards. In order to subtract, I like to put everything that I have down here in parentheses. What that's going to do is change the sign. So this is going to be a negative x cubed. Those will cancel out. And then this negative, that's going to end up being a positive. So that's really negative 4x squared plus 2x squared. And negative 4x squared plus 2x squared is negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. And bring down the x and its exponent. So that is what I have after I subtract this. So we're going to subtract. Next, we bring down one term at a time. So we're only going to bring down the 2x, so we'll say plus 2x. And we're going to repeat this process for what's left down here below the line. So we look at x and negative 2x squared. And we say, how many times does x go into negative 2x squared? Well, turns out that's going to give you negative 2x. Well, we're going to take that negative 2x, and again, we're going to distribute it to the x and the negative 2 on the outside. So negative 2x times x is negative 2x squared. Negative 2x times negative 2, a negative times a negative is a positive, so that's going to be plus 4x. And again, we're going to subtract. The two negatives will cancel out, and this should be a plus, and those negative 2 and 2 will cancel out. We have negative 2 minus 4x, so that's a negative 4 now. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. So it's going to be negative 2x. And lastly, we're going to bring down the 5. So plus 5. And we're going to repeat this one last time. We're going to say, how many times does x go into negative 2x? Well, negative 2x divided by x is negative 2. And again, distribute that negative 2 on the two terms on the outside. Sometimes there's more than two terms, but in this case, it's just two terms. Negative 2 times x, that's going to give you negative 2x. And negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Again, wrap those in parentheses and subtract. And that negative negative changes to positive, and those cancel out. So 5 minus 4, 5 minus 4, well, that's going to give you 1. And there's nothing left to bring down. So we actually have our remainder. This is going to be your remainder. This is going to be your quotient. And of course, this is your divisor out here, x minus 2. So the way we write this, if you think back to long division with numbers, is we always do our quotient as a mixed fraction with our remainder over your divisor. So we are going to write x squared minus 2x minus 2, and we do plus 1 over x minus 2. So if that remainder were a negative, then it would be minus 1 over x minus 2. That's how you write your final answer. X squared minus 2x minus 2 plus 1 over x minus 2. Always put your divisor on the bottom of a fraction. Let's look at example 2. Example 2, let's set this one up as well. So we want to write what's underneath the bars, but let's look at our order. We got a 2x cubed plus 4x squared minus 5. Now, if you notice here, this one doesn't have an x. So we say 0 as a coefficient for that x. So we have all of our terms represented. We have a cube, a squared, an x, and a constant. Now we're ready to write it inside the division symbol. So we're going to say divided by x plus 3 on the outside, 2x cubed plus 4x squared plus 0x minus 5. Let's repeat the process for dividing. So we have 2x cubed. How many times does x go into 2x cubed? X goes into 2x cubed. Well, that's going to be 2x squared. Now remember, we're going to take that term on the top, multiply it by the stuff on the outside. So 2x squared times x, that's going to give you 2x cubed. 2x squared times 3, Well, that's 6x squared. Subtract down. So these, if you haven't figured it out, these will always cancel out. 4 minus 6, 4 minus 6. That's going to give you negative 2. And then bring down the x squared. Bring down the 0x. That's why placeholders are important. You have to have an x there so these two terms have something to go into. Do it again with the x and the negative 2x squared. How many times does x go in the negative 2x squared? Well, it'll be negative 2x. Do the distributing again. This time do it with the negative 2x. Negative 2x times x is negative 2x squared. Negative 2x times 3 is minus 6x. Subtract. These negatives will end up both being positives. So that's going to be negative, negative, plus, negative, negative, plus. And you know these will cancel out. So this is really 0 plus 6x. 0x plus 6x, which is 6x. One last number to bring down, minus 5. How many times does x go into 6x? Well, 6x divided by x is 6. So we have 6 here. We're going to distribute 6 times x. 6 times x is 6x. 6 times 3 is 18. Minus, let's see what we get for a remainder. These will cancel out. Negative 5 minus 18 is negative 23. Nothing left to go here, so we have our remainder. And let's write our answer. So this is a negative remainder, so we're going to write 2x squared minus 2x plus 6. We're going to write our quotient. Since our remainder is negative, I'm going to say minus 23 and put that over our divisor, x plus 3. And you have your answer. Okay, the next set of notes will be on the back side in a different video.